Hello everyone, I am Tacet, and today I'm going to be going over the new faction of Silver Necropolis, and there is quite a few things to go over with this, as it is now version 4.3, so we now have potions and a few other features. Another thing that is particularly noteworthy about this faction is it is now the best farming faction in the entire game. It has 2 guaranteed treasure rooms, with 2 other rooms that have a % chance of being a treasure room, with all of them very close to the start of the delve. It is an even better location than Warren's for farming, so if you don't currently have a designated delve to go and farm, it is highly advised to keep this delve at level 20, 90, or 100 to just constantly farm it with your 3 daily delves every single day if you don't currently have another location that's designated for it. But personally, I'll be keeping with Warren's even though it is slightly less efficient, because we are going to be testing out all the new potions and trying to get this faction to level 2,500 using the new potion system we have. So let's go over some of that, and then we'll get into teams and everything else with this faction. So, of course, one of the most noteworthy things is we have potions. Of course, this isn't the first time we've had potions. However, this is the first weekend-long faction event in which we had potions, meaning that there is plenty of time if you go and buy out the final pack to be able to go and complete out not just the entire faction up to level 500, but also trying level 500 pure faction. This potion of power does stack and does give 7 to all skills. So if you want to utilize that in order to try to kill out on pure faction, you can pretty much do that with every new delve that comes out. I did end up spending slightly over 2,000 gems, so you do have to keep in mind you do get all the rewards back, as well as some kind of leaderboard placement. You'll get some of those resources back. It is pretty expensive to do, but you can basically just buy out level 2,500 factions now. You can technically do this on Tuesday events, but obviously the 3-day long weekend ones are more time efficient. You'll have way more time to go and do them, and you have more battles to begin with. One other thing that you may notice here is that we have these little portrait things and this little bone set. If we go over to chat right over here, we do have some new features that end up coming in. These are basically going to be occurring pretty much almost every single week now through various events. Don't worry if you ever don't get any of these because they're too far, or you don't have the gems for it, or you just forget, or any other things that might happen, because you will be able to buy these for a small amount of gems after the fact. I believe it's going to be about a month or 2 after the fact, but you'll just be able to buy them for a small amount of gems once they've been in the game for a little while. And there's things like these little portraits, these 2 portraits, and title. I believe once you complete out the entirety of the event, you end up getting a title associated with it. And things like raids, invasions, and some other things are going to start having these associated to it. Not really anything to really worry about, as every single thing related to these are fully cosmetic. However, if you want to go and get them for completion purposes, you can just get them with gems at a later time if you don't get them now. So do be wary of that. Don't just waste all of your gems to go and get this, and you'll be able to get it. Unlike weapons and stuff, you'll be able to get it easily at a later time. Speaking of weapons, this weapon is pretty decent. It is a double life steal to the last 2 enemies. First thing that obviously comes to mind when thinking of this weapon is Arachnean Weaver for synergy. You throw this, throw Arachnean Weaver, you get a double kill, do the combo again, and you pretty much just win the battle. It's a pretty decent weapon, also a pretty good weapon if you don't have Crescendo, as it's one of the only multi-hit true damage weapons. So pretty good weapon overall, and is advised to have. If you don't get it now, do keep in mind you'll be able to get this every new faction event. And I believe this faction will be coming back around again on a Tuesday event in about a month or so. So if you don't get it now because you don't have enough gems, you will be able to get it in the near future. Anyways, as far as this delve layout, it is excessively annoying, but is also very rewarding. It has 4 treasure rooms. 2 are guaranteed. This one right over here is a guaranteed treasure room, and this one over here is a guaranteed treasure room. And there's 2 treasure rooms that have a % chance of being a treasure room. It's this one right over here, which is currently not a treasure room, and this one right over here, which currently is a treasure room. As far as the general way that you would normally do this delve, obviously you have to take the very first battle and then the second battle, and you have a couple different paths. Luckily, it does have a straight path right to the boss room if you simply just want to go rush. However, due to all the treasure rooms, you are probably going to want to go for some of the treasure rooms, particularly earlier on, obviously. But from here, you're most likely going to want to go into the 2 5s. More often than not, these will be higher multiplier. In this case, it's a 1.3 and a 1.2, so not exactly the case. One really annoying thing about this delve is you are going to basically require scouting out every single room. You start with the 2 5s, and then from there you almost have to scout out every single other thing, just because of how wide of a range treasure rooms have as far as what kind of rooms they could be, as well as the fact that the tier 5 rooms can also range everything from 1.2 multiplier all the way up to a 1.5 times multiplier. So there's a really wide range as far as what you need to scout out. It's really, really annoying to do, but because of all the treasure rooms, it does technically make it the highest rewarding. And of course, with all the potions, a lot of these battles can go very, very quick. It is normally advised to use something like a Leprechaun or something in any delve that does have a lot of treasure rooms, simply because you will be able to go and gain a bunch of gold. Like you saw, we had a Cedric in the top right, and we'd be able to utilize that to gain more gold than we normally would be able to off of that specific room throughout the rest of the delve. Anyways, as you can see, this is what I'm currently running with one of these. I'll be showing some teams in a moment. But we have the effect of the potions. We have the effect of just upgrading the delve by quite a bit, the horde. So we're pretty much just stacked out on everything. And potions definitely make it a lot easier to get through these earlier battles and try working all the way up to the higher ones and eventually doing pure faction. Anyways, as far as rewards, there are new things on it as well. As you saw probably in that other section, there's a portrait right over here, which is obviously just cosmetic and completely pointless. And then there's this title over here, which is also, again, cosmetic and completely pointless. However, you won't be able to obtain this for another month or two, so if you really like the title or the portrait, you might want to go and get it, because you won't be able to get it for a while. But later on, you'll just be able to buy it for gems. Anyways, teams now. That you saw was one of the teams. I have 5 different teams here that you can end up using for various things. As far as 20 to 100 is the exact team you just saw: Dawnbringer, Gargoyle, Possessed King, and Leprechaun. Leprechaun to be able to utilize the treasure rooms, like when you get a Cedric, just so you get that little bit of gold. You could put a Greed there as well, but this actually gives you value by exploding, as empowered, so you can use it immediately. Then you throw into Dawnbringer or any AoE weapon. This is simply just to go do a lot of damage. Gargoyle for your cleanup, and if you really had to, you also have Possessed King for cleanup, though you're mainly using him for his 2 explosions, which you'll probably get off the starting 4 explosions, because now all you have to do is buy into the 2 first packs, which is only 90 gems, very cheap, and you get 4 explosions at the start of battle, 1 per each troop, and that can cascade into even more explosions off of Possessed King. So really, really good, more so than ever, Possessed King in delves. He just keeps gaining more and more value as the weeks go by. It's kind of amazing. But yeah, Possessed King, like top 5 these days, just because of how ridiculously viable it is in every single way in delves these days, as well as a few other events. But this is basically what we're going to be starting off with. We will be showing a cheaper team in a moment. As far as 100 to 50, I'm just trying to show the more optimal ones for now for every level range. Of course, you don't have to do these at the exact same level ranges, but they're just general level ranges as far as where you're most likely going to be able to run these. Anyways, similar to how you would normally replace out Gargoyle, you normally replace out Gargoyle with Ketris. This runs pretty much very similar to the previous theme we just showed. You can replace out the weapon if you need for something like Mountain Crusher to feed more mana, or even a disable option, but Dawnbringer should be fine, especially if you're going and getting multiple potion effects. And you can run it with Titan if you want to keep it a little bit safer. Ketris is just here to clean up everything with its high amount of damage that it ends up getting, as well as to adjacents. This King uses for the mana accumulation, and of course Leprechaun is for mana accumulation. Then for the final ones, we're basically just going to be running a somewhat standard High King Iron Gut team. We're running it with Titan, and this is absolutely mandatory with this particular team, as we need to feed Rock Troll to half mana off that Titan. It's most likely going to gain full mana between the explosions and the enchant off of potions. So you're pretty much just starting with a full Rock Troll every single time, being able to double the browns. You'll then almost have a Mountain Crusher every single time as well, which you can end up exploding to get Brown Storm and a bunch of explosions. And you pretty much just keep spamming this into High King Iron Gut. And depending on how much upgrades and potions you have, he's pretty much going to have a 100% Devour. And if he doesn't if he doesn't initially, he definitely will after his first Devour. And if stuff have immune to Devour, you can simply go use Possessed King's Transform to get rid of it. Alternatively, if you need to, you can replace out Mountain Crusher for Dragon's Eye and Possessed King for Sylvania Mora, and run it that way, and use your Dragon's Eye as your Transform instead of Possessed King if you don't happen to have the Possessed King, so you can downgrade there. However, there's unfortunately no replacement for the High King Iron Gut in this particular team. However, here is a super ridiculously cheap team that you can run at any level, regardless of what you have, pretty much. Mang with Titan. You do need your Titan to at least be level 40 so that you can gain Barrier every single Brown. That's the main component of this. Mang you get at 23 Brown Red Hero Mastery, and it has to be your base Hero Mastery, the one specifically from gaining levels. Cockatrice is a rare you easily get in Gold Keys and Glory Keys. You use him as your Entangle and Mana Drain option. Basically, just keep spamming this, and they can't hit you with skulls, and they can't cast with their mana. Of course, things that have immune to Mana Drain will not really work against it, however, or immune to Entangle. For the most part, most things in delves will be able to be affected by one, if not both of those 2 effects. After that, Keeper of Souls. This is a legendary, however, if you don't have Keeper of Souls, you can replace this in this particular team with a Skeleton. Both will do about the exact same role. They're both basically just to get skulls into your Mang in order to kill everything. And Mang, of course, gains attack based on all the armor tiers, so it keeps getting attack based on the enemy stats, so you can just simply keep killing everything out. Other than that, we have Sylvania Mora here. Again, another legend. Is mainly just used for its Entangle option. If you do not have Sylvania Mora, you can put a fully traded Leprechaun there instead, or Dragonian Monk, and just kind of go with the more protective or more mana generation method. But Sylvania Mora ideally you would use, since if you skull spam into Sylvania Mora's final ability, it ends up getting a kill with skull spam. It does do the entangle onto the following troop, basically making sure that you'll never be able to be hit by skulls, assuming that everything on the opposing team does not have immune to entangle. But anyways, oh wait, there's one more. Hold up. There is the PR faction team, of course. The whole thing that we're trying to do and trying to get done today, or at least this weekend. So, of course, pure faction, a lot easier now with potions. This is not the main fix, of course. Potions is not the main fix for doing level 500 pure faction. However, it does drastically increase the chance of being able to do so. And while it's not the official fix that they're going to be doing, which will be probably in a few months from now, it is enough of a fix that you can technically get it done with just the potion system. And that's pretty much what we're going to be doing. We're going to be running with 3 Vanya, and just putting that with the... Why do they have to have such weird names? Draugr. And basically, we're just going to be draining with this. This is very much like a Nyx and the other similar drainers and Florian and stuff that end up draining up to 12 and ends up creating a bunch of mana of a certain color, in this case purple. So if it ends up draining 12 mana, well, it just got 12 purples onto the board, which feeds all of our Vanyas. This will get bless on pretty much our entire team, since each one of them will bless every single extra turn, which will trigger off those extra turns that we get from the purples. And it just does a full AoE onto the opposing team. It'll be a little bit annoying against a merge, but of course when we're doing pure faction, we just do a straight path down the middle, and we'd easily be able to see if the middle battle is submerged or not. So we'd know if we can actually run pure faction on it, or if we need to skip delve and wait and get another one that doesn't have submerge. But yeah, definitely don't run this against submerge. Submerge will absolutely decimate it, since you can't really do anything against it. But yeah, this thing constantly keeps getting summons. It has a nice full AoE, and it has a decent boost ratio that would be giving it around 12 additional damage. Because if I'm not mistaken, it can't actually boost ratio off itself, because I believe it moves bless off itself before it ends up casting, kind of like how things that boost based on submerge. So you can only ever get it boost ratioed based on the other 3 troops, since it'll always get rid of its own. But still, 12 additional damage is quite substantial. Also has 5 off its ability, and overall with between all the potions and everything, we should be able to get away with this. Nothing else, the fact that it can mass summon, you can just keep summoning until you almost never die, theoretically, and just kind of hope that that ends up being enough. Anyways, that is pretty much everything with this new faction. It is definitely highly advised to keep low if you are not planning on getting this thing to level 500. Keeping at level 20, keeping at level 90, keeping at level 100, something low where you can constantly farm it, as it is actually better than Warrens. It doesn't have like those arcane trait stones at the end, but as far as overall gold rate and just treasure rooms in general, it does have a better loot system than that of Warren. So it is now the new best delve to farm. So do be mindful of that if you are not going all the way to full completion, as you're probably going to want to not do this event to completion and just keep it at a very low level in order to farm it. Anyways, guys, that'll wrap it up for this video. If you still have any other questions about delves or anything else Gems of War related, feel free to leave it in the comment section below. Best of luck with the new faction event, and I will see you all later. Goodbye, everyone!